Hello and welcome to What Pet Should I Get? My name is Julia Batchelor. Today on the show we have Sherry Vanstone and Ernest Haas here from AdoptADog Save a Life. Claire Forndren will be here, of course, from Dogtails Rescue and Sanctuary. And up first, of course, is the lovely Callie Milliman from the Ontario SPCA, and she has brought the cat with the best name in the world, Bautista.
Oh yeah, he's energetic. I think we should definitely get him a bat and put him out on the field because he could probably run it with the guys.
Yeah, I bet. But before we start talking about Bautista, I know we have kitties here, but we wanted to talk about introducing dogs because we're always about adopting.
Yes.
And we hope people want to adopt more than one animal in their home. And
Yes.
I know there's some good pointers to introduce a dog to your home when you already have a dog there.
Sure. I mean, a lot of people when they come into the adoption center looking to adopt a dog, if they already have a dog at home, they'll often ask us if the dog they're looking to adopt has been with other dogs before. Sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't, and regardless of whether they have or
They
have
may not be buddies.
That's right. And so we want to make sure that that first introduction goes off well because that's the start of their relationship together. So let's make it a positive one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are a couple of positive. So there are a couple of things that we want to look at, and the very first tip is to make sure that they are both on a leash and with a good solid leash and collar on.
Yeah.
That's going to make sure that the handlers have good control of the situation in case things start to go a little hairy or sideways on us, right?
Yeah.
Keeping treats on hand is really good because when we notice that they're acting in a positive manner, we want to reward it as we go through the steps of introducing the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to make one little point, Julia. Prior to them meeting physically for the first time, there's what we call a soft introduction that can be done. And what that is it's done through scent. So, I mean, everybody knows that when dogs meet, the first thing they do...
They're right smelling each other from head to tail.
From head to tail, literally, yes. And so what we can do is actually start that process for them. So using a hand cloth or a small towel or blanket, you can actually rub down the body of each dog and then sort of trade. So, you know, dog one would get to smell dog two and vice versa before actually physically meeting. Then they kind of go, okay, I checked this one out. I know who he is or who she is. And then they're ready to get that meet and greet going.
Yeah.
So as mentioned, they should both be on a leash and collar.
Yeah.
And I would recommend doing this in an outdoor space so that you have a lot of room.
A nice neutral space.
A nice neutral space. Again, there's no sense there that maybe the previous dog has left behind, potentially.
And I imagine, too, if you're bringing a new dog to a home, the other dog may be on a little bit defensive because it's like you're entering his territory.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So it's really important to do it in a neutral space. And again, outdoor spaces tend to be a little bit larger so we can get distance. And that's how you want to start, with each dog opposite one another and at a good distance apart. I don't know, maybe...
So they can see each other.
Yeah,
suss
maybe
each other out.
10 to 15 feet apart to start. And then what you sort of do is walk laps. So the handlers will walk the dogs sort of up and down in a linear fashion, turning around, coming back, and each time as you turn around and go the opposite direction, you'll get a little bit closer and closer. It's really important for the handlers to be keeping an eye on the body language of their dog because you'll start to notice if things aren't going to work out or if maybe we need to stop the process, it's the body language that's going to tell you.
What do you look for?
So stiffness. Immediately you'll see a body, the body of a dog go a little bit more stiff. You may see the ears go back. You may see the tail tuck. And if the dog has longer hair, you may see those hackles go up.
Yeah.
If any of these signs start to show, I would stop the process immediately because obviously the dog is uncomfortable and doesn't want to proceed. If it escalates very, very quickly, because sometimes, you know, maybe you're not getting signals right off the top, but all of a sudden we've got growling, we've got things happening, then obviously the handlers need to move away from one another immediately.
So when you're looking to adopt another dog, what's the best scenario? Is it like opposite sex? I know that all the animals that come out of the Ontario SPCA are fixed, so it's not, we're not worried about breeding or anything. Are dogs of the same sex, opposite sex? What has a tendency to go along better?
We tend to recommend doing opposite sex just because same sex can get a little bit territorial, like you had mentioned earlier. That being said, you know, people I'm sure at home right now are going, well, hang on, I have two dogs and they're the same sex. I'm not saying it's a universal rule by any means, and that's why, again, regardless, you want to do this meet and greet process. So I think if you're open to having a dog of the opposite sex, then start there.
Yeah.
But you never know. Maybe you've fallen in love with a dog that is the same sex, and I say give it a shot because it could work
Dogs
out
are
perfectly.
adaptable, right?
You got that right. And that's what we always say. They may not grow to be the best of friends, but they can definitely grow to live in the same household.
They'll work it out.
They'll work it out.
And you know what? These are great tips, too, because I know in September we have the Friends for Life Walkathon, where it's going to be a dog festival. So maybe those are some of the things you want to think about if you're going to bring your dog to this fundraiser, this walkathon, right?
Exactly. friendsforlifewalk.ca. We're so excited to see everybody out with their pooches. Remember to keep them on a leash and collar because, like you mentioned, there's going to be tons of furry friends hanging around and lots of treats and all kinds of craziness. So it's going to be a really good time.
Awesome. Okay, so before we run out of time, we have to talk about the most adorable kitty, Batista. Talk to us about this little guy.
Another round of kittens have come up for adoption.
And this one's ready to go, because I know Miso last week hasn't been fixed yet, a little underweight, not quite ready, but
right.
Batista is up for adoption.
Batista is up for adoption along with a couple of other friends that are at our center on Woodbine Avenue in Newmarket.
And so
fall in love. He is an all-black kitten. We actually have a few other all-black kittens. I mention that because, unfortunately, sometimes all-black cats or kittens don't quite get adopted
they get pushed to the back. I know there's some really weird, like, superstitions around them. I had a black cat for 20 years. She was like I'd say a four-legged child to me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So don't let the color deter you. He is, as you can see, absolutely adorable, super cuddly and loving, and he's looking for an awesome home. So folks should visit our website, right? Tell them about the website. Or they could come into our center on Woodbine.
Now,
he's so cute.
The other little black kitties that you have, are they from the same litter?
There are two that are from the same litter, yes. So they were born in-house at our center. So we actually had a lot of pregnant mums that came in earlier in the season, and they did have their litters with us. So they've sort of grown up in a shelter environment. That being said, they're young. They're going to do great in adapting into a new home. Cats are companion animals, right? So as you can see, this little guy is quite content.
He's enamored with you.
We've fallen in love, the two of us, yeah.
All right, well, if you're interested in adopting Batista, and please don't change his name because it's perfect, you know, visit the OSPCA that's located on Woodbine Avenue. You can check our website for details. And because we love her so much, here's more with Callie Milliman and this week's pet tip. Good boy, you made it.
Cottages, pools, and family vacations. It's that time of year, and we want to bring our pets with us to all of it. It's really important that when you are going to be boating or near water with your pet, they are supervised at all times. If your pet is going to be in water or on a boat, you may want to consider getting them a life jacket. Make sure it's properly fitted so that they're comfortable when spending a long day on the beach. Also, keep in mind your pet will need access to fresh water at all times. Pool water can have chemicals, and lake water can have parasites. Making sure your pet's summer is happy and healthy is at the top of mind. I'm Callie Milliman with the Ontario SPCA, and that is this week's Pet Tip.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Claire Forndren from Dogtails Rescue and Sanctuary, and she has brought a wonderful dog who is having a little scratch right now named Eleanor. But before we talk about Eleanor, I just wanted to ask you quickly about Rona, who was on the show last week. She's a lovely little shy dog that we have. Can we just bring a picture to remind there? She is so pretty. So what's the story with Rona?
So Rona is pending adoption. So there was a wonderful family that came in actually just a few days ago to meet her for the first time, and they fell in love. But what we want to do and what they agree that is best for Rona is to come back a few times over the next few weeks to visit her, to build a relationship before they take her home. Just so that it's an easier transition.
Well, she was a little bit traumatized. I mean, I know she's traveled from another country, lived in a shelter. She is a bit shy, but I sense that once that dog finds like a good accommodation, that's a sense of foreverness. She's going to be like, she's going to open up.
Amazing. Yeah, I agree.
Now let's talk about Eleanor. Now Eleanor is not from Israel. She is from the Dominican.
Yes. So Eleanor actually came to us through one of our volunteers. So one of our regular volunteers, Stephanie, spends her winters in the Dominican, and when she was there this winter, she went to the local Humane Society and she found this dog. So the story is Eleanor was found in the elevator shaft of a construction site and was taken to the Humane Society, and nobody claimed her. And she had been there for over 5 years by the time Stephanie found her, waiting. So now Eleanor is in Canada, and hopefully it won't be 5 years.
No.
I think it will be considerably less than that, because she's an amazing dog, and we are all head over heels in love with her.
I guess it must be sometimes too, you guys, I mean, you have to let the dogs go. That's the whole purpose. But it must be such a hard job when you meet all these wonderful dogs with great personalities. But it must be just as equally rewarding when you know that they're going to a great family and they're just going to be the center of attention. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. There have been a few dogs that have gone home and I've been crying like a baby and so embarrassed because I'm so happy that they're going, but you really do get attached to them, especially the ones that are with us for a long time.
Now, I don't know if Eleanor got keyed or not, but people at home might be wondering why she's called a 7-year-old pot cake. What's a pot cake? I've never heard of this breed.
Yes. So in the Caribbean, that's the name that they've given to the mixed breed dogs that are down there. And the name comes from actually this rice and pea mixture that a lot of the locals
she's a little bit of this
feed
and a
the
little bit of
dog.
that.
Well, yeah, and the locals feed this mixture to the dogs, apparently. So.
Oh, that's how she got her name.
Yeah, so that's why they're called pot cakes, and it's kind of cute and catchy, so.
Well,
yeah.
You had mentioned that it was a volunteer that had gone to the Humane Society there, and that's how she found Eleanor. Now, is that, I know that Danielle and her husband, they do a lot of this. I know yourself, you network with different shelters, but how much do you rely on volunteers to help you find those dogs that are desperately in need to come to your shelter and then eventually find a home?
So yeah, I mean, the volunteers that are with us for a while start to become very involved in not only caring for the dogs at our shelter, but involved in the rescue efforts. And a lot of them will kind of have their own little side projects that we end up helping them with.
I'm visiting the Humane Society, right?
Yeah, well, these are bona fide dog lovers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've actually had a number of volunteers that have found dogs from wherever in dire circumstances and called us and asked if they could bring them, and we've taken them and found them homes. So, I mean, we're really working with our volunteers, and we want them to feel like they're a part of the effort.
Well, volunteers, I know, I mean, volunteerism is amazing, and especially with what you guys do, they're such a huge part of what makes you successful, right?
Absolutely.
Now, are you looking for partnerships with other organizations? Because I know you're a globally reaching sort of network, or do you have enough right now?
I mean, we're always looking for partnerships. We are, at this point, receiving probably 100 emails every day of people asking us to take dogs, and that's become really the worst part of our job, is we have to say no, and in many cases we don't know what's going to happen to these dogs if we say no, but it's always good to have other rescues that we can refer people to if we are unable to take the dogs. So certainly we're looking for those kind of partnerships, and I mean, we're looking for dogs that really desperately need us. So if anyone knows of something really horrible that's going on in these dogs, if no one else standing up for them, please reach out and we'll see what we can do.
Well, speaking of reaching out and getting dogs out of horrible situations, I mean, a while back, Danielle, we all know, purchased a dog shelter that was falling apart. Yes. Cages, basically.
Yeah.
And I know there's 250 dogs there, but the whole point is really that shelter is not worth trying to rejuvenate. You're going to shut it down, and you're getting the dogs slowly out of there. And I guess they're all coming to Canada, or some are getting adopted right out of Israel?
Yeah, so a few she relocated to different rescues that she has a relationship with in Israel, but the majority of the dogs we've been bringing to Canada and finding homes for. So at this point, there are only about 60 dogs left in Israel. A lot of them have already made the trip over, and a lot of those dogs have already found homes.
Well,
so it's almost the end of that chapter.
Well, that's perfect. And if you're interested in meeting any of those dogs that came from Israel or Eleanor, as we say, you can visit our website for details, but what's even better is visit the shelter every Sunday from 11 to 5. Now, here's Dr. MJ Winters with this week's Vet Tip.
One of the most common problems we see at the clinic is vomiting and diarrhea. The causes for this are many, such as viral diseases like parvovirus, which can be easily dealt with by your vaccines, parasites, bacteria, and misadventure, getting into the garbage, eating toys, or chewing on pieces of string. With vomiting and diarrhea, one of the most serious aspects of it is dehydration, hypoglycemia, and malnutrition. Our very young pets and our very old pets are the two categories that suffer most with this. The other pet population to watch out for are those that have kidney or liver disease, as they too will struggle quite quickly with a severe dose of vomiting and diarrhea. At home, in order to help your pets, you can use things such as oral electrolyte therapy. This can often help to get your pet back on the road to recovery. However, we do often see certain complications of vomiting in our pets. Diseases such as esophagitis can occur. We also know that when we see our pets eating grass, this can be an indicator of a milder episode of gastric upset. So when you see your cat heading outside to the garden for some grass, or indeed your dog, take close note and follow up possibly with your vet. When calling your vet, always have as much information as possible available. What did your dog get into recently? Were they in contact with any sick or poorly pets? Or have you changed their diet? As always, prevention is better than cure, so I advise you to keep a close eye on your pets. I'm Dr. Michael John Winters for the 404 Emergency and Referral, and that's this week's Vet Tip.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Sherry Vanstone and Ernest Haas from the organization AdoptADog, Save a Life. Welcome both of you to the show. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Now, the organization AdoptADog was started in 1980, so you guys have been around for a while.
Yeah, Grace Hall started it kind of before rescue was even a thing.
Yeah.
She just saw a need that, she found a dog in the street, couldn't find the owners, so she found a new home for it, and then after that she was sort of hooked. She found out that there were, pounds and that the dogs didn't all get to go home afterwards, and so it became her thing to start just pairing up dogs with homes, and she started a rescue.
And here we are 36 years later.
Yeah.
And how many dogs have been rescued and adopted out since then, do you know?
Thousands. We don't have an exact number because the records were not real well kept back then, but like thousands. And last year it was nearly 100 just in the year.
Good for you. Now, where are your dogs coming from?
We pull from shelters. Sometimes they are
like
owner surrenders. Yeah, high kill shelters.
Yeah.
Pounds and owner surrenders. So.
Now, I know a lot of organizations that, we've interviewed are traveling quite far, near and far, to get their dogs. Is that the case for you guys as well?
Well, we actually do, we have a partnership with Soy Dogs right now, which is
in Thailand.
Yeah, exactly, the Thai organization that rescues dogs from the illegal meat trade.
Yeah.
So
dogs they're facing, it's rough. Horrendous.
It's rough, yeah. And it's illegal in Thailand, but they sell them to the Korean market where they can sell them as meat. This is pretty horrific. But yeah, we have one of our volunteers went over and worked with them there and started like a network between us, and so we're bringing in more soy dogs this year. And you guys actually fostered one of the soy dogs,
That's right.
hey?
We had Cumin, who was with us for about 2 months, yeah.
Yeah, really beautiful dog, really special.
Well, Ernest and I were talking before the show, and you were saying about the dog from, if anybody's ever been to Thailand, they do not have Canadian winters there.
Yeah.
And that Cumin, he had a little bit of an adjustment period coming from a hot climate to, came here in February, wasn't it?
Yeah, she got here on the first week of February, and I guess, she'd never really experienced a temperature probably below 18 degrees Celsius in her entire life, and she got here and it was about -5 and wind and snow, and she adapted really fast though. She really seemed to like the cold and would actually be scratching at the door to go out.
It's like new experience, right?
Yep.
So sweet. Now, I know you're a not-for-profit organization, which means that you always need help from the public.
Yeah.
Now you're looking for donations of food, items, cash. Cash is king.
Yeah, exactly. We can buy all those things with cash. Cash is great. We always need foster homes.
That's
Like
the
these
big
guys
one.
are so awesome, and they're saving dogs.
Yeah.
So we can't pull them from the shelter if we don't have somewhere to put them.
Yeah.
And I mean, the shelters, nobody wants to be doing this, right? The
Yes.
shelters, they reach out to rescues when, dog's time is getting up. They need to make space to bring in another
Yes.
dog. We're always behind,
Yeah.
right? So when we have foster homes, we can pull those dogs from the shelters and put them somewhere until we can find their, lifelong family. So fosters are the #1 thing that we need.
How big is your foster network right now?
We have about 20 foster homes.
And so it always can be expanded all throughout
Are
the
you kidding?
GTA.
Always, yeah, always.
Okay, so if you're interested in fostering, the information for this organization will be on our website. But speaking of fostering, Ernest, you have been a foster for how long now?
So we've actually only been doing it for about 6 months. We had our first dog right near the end of December last year, and then
Somebody's getting excited.
yeah. Yeah, so we've had 3 dogs now. Bishop's our 3rd dog,
Yeah.
and it's a really, really rewarding process to go through, especially because you get to meet the families that are actually going to be adopting the dogs, and you get to still have an opportunity to provide input and obviously provide a lot of guidance on what the dogs are like and what kinds of things they like to have. Obviously, he likes to eat, but. Yeah, it's been a really, really great process.
And I know that this is Bishop. Bishop is your 3rd dog in your care.
He's our 3rd dog, that's right.
Yeah. Now, for foster parents, I'm going to use that for lack of a better term, because I know that Ernest and your wife, you do not have your own pets, which I think that is really unique. Most of your fosters you'll find already have pets in the home and they're just more willing to take in more dogs?
Most have pets, yeah.
Yeah.
So these guys are super cool because we can, if we get a dog that, say, isn't socialized properly with other dogs, these guys are always like, this kind of family is a savior to that dog because they can, socialize them slowly, but they at least have somewhere to go that is going to be okay for everybody.
Yeah. Well, we do thank you for the work that you're doing. And let's talk about let's talk about Bishop because,
Sure.
I mean, the point of foster, obviously, is that you want to make space for a new foster, so Bishop needs a home. And
That's right.
who better to ask what type of dog Bishop is than the person that's been taking care of him. So what's he like?
So Bishop he's a very friendly, fairly quiet gentleman, but that's to be expected. He's not a puppy, but he's still got a lot of spring in his step, especially for a dog of his size. He's on a little bit of a diet right now, but he loves going for slow walks. I wouldn't take him for a
Yes.
run or a bike ride.
Yeah.
But he loves to go for nice slow walks. We took him for a big walk through Hyde Park the other day, and he really, really loved that. But when he's at home, he likes nothing more than to just stay kind of close to
Chill
us
out.
while we're cooking or while we're just doing anything around the house. So he's great.
Now, you said he's on a bit of a diet. What was his initial weight when you got him?
He was 68 pounds when we
And
got him.
you were aiming for
We're aiming for 40 pounds.
40 pounds. Okay, and he's what right now?
59.
59, so he's doing pretty good.
Yeah. He's
I
doing
wish I could
really,
lose
really
weight
well.
that fast.
Yeah, me too, right?
And is he on a special diet?
Yeah, so he's just got a special, well, it's not even that special. Like, it's just a low-calorie
Controlled.
food. You can get, pretty much any animal hospital or pet food store.
Okay.
And then other than that, we just, we don't try to give him too many extra treats and
Yes.
things like that. So that's
Yeah.
about it.
Okay, so before we run out of time, I want to talk about Bernie.
Yeah.
So what's Bernie's story?
So Bernie is some sort of pug cross.
We said Chubba Love and Pugga Love.
Yeah. Bernie was found as a stray in a city outside of Toronto, and he ended up in the pound there, and he's probably an older dog. He was clearly somebody's dog at one point, but maybe just doesn't have, he might have been on his own for a while because he was really skinny when we brought him into care, but he's a good boy. He's got another dog in his foster home. He gets along great. He's pretty chilled out for the most part. He is, when he's in a situation like this that's new, he will cry a little bit. And
Yeah,
gets
he
a
just
little,
needs to adapt.
Yeah, he just needs to relax a bit. But
Okay.
I mean, this whole, being around people and on a leash and stuff is new for him, so he's adjusting.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you both on, and I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much.
If you are interested in adopting either Bishop or Bernie, we're going to have the contact information for AdoptADog Save a Life on our website. Adoption is always better than buying, and you're going to get a great dog. For all of us here at What Pet Should I Get? My name is Julia Batchelor. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next time.